Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of VMblog's video interview series. Brian and I are excited to have with us today Subbiah Sundaram, the VP of Products from HYCU. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much, David and Brian.
So why don't we first kind of kick things off by catching up all our viewers, if you don't mind, by giving us a little bit of background on the company.
Absolutely. HYCU, we are based in Boston. We obviously have salespeople and customers worldwide. We focus on simplifying the entire data protection infrastructure for customers. We focus on multi-cloud because that's where the customer journey is right now. And we do two things as a company. We focus on data protection and monitoring, and significant focus is right now in the data protection area.
And how are things going right now with HYCU? What's the start of the year been for you guys?
HYCU is actually, we have had a phenomenal growth. As you know, we are a relatively younger company compared to many of the other large players in the industry who've been here for tens of years. The good thing about us is that we probably have to tell you a little bit about our background, so that way it gives more people more context on this thing. We have been in the industry for 20 plus years under different names. We were under a different background. We used to actually deliver purpose-built solutions for different vendors. We used to do for there are at least 8 different backup vendors in the industry we have actually delivered solutions for. We developed the core IP and they sold it. That's what we have actually done in the past. About a few years ago, Simon Taylor, our CEO, decided that we have to move up the value chain and deliver purpose-built solutions for our customers. That's what we started with. And our first solution was for Nutanix. And we had the purpose-built solution for Nutanix. And then we expanded into Google. And we started developing multi-cloud management solutions. And now we have more to offer for customers. So overall, we have, as a company, we have sold in over 65 countries. And we have more than 1,200 customers worldwide. People sometimes ask us, are you guys based in the United States? So you sell in the US? No, we sell worldwide. We have 65 countries. And the amazing thing is, it's been less than 3 years since we started selling our solution first, just for Nutanix. And so it's phenomenal growth, amazing set of opportunities. And the biggest thing I get excited about is that when customers love our solution, they love using a solution because our NPS score, which is I'm very proud of, is 89. As you know, that's a very hard metric to get. And the customers have been telling us that we have so far done a great job and we really want to do and keep the customers really happy.
That's great. And I understand that HYCU just recently announced support for Azure Cloud. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Absolutely. So before I go to Azure, I want to actually even tell a little bit about some of the other journey we have done so it gives people more context on the Azure part itself. So we started with when our overall solution started with Nutanix. We started with Nutanix and in 2017. And we started expanded the Nutanix portfolio into managing the entire data center for Nutanix-led data centers for customers, supporting not just Nutanix, also their VMware infrastructure, and as well as physical infrastructure. That's the Nutanix on-prem journey, which for customers. And when we started doing the on-prem, customers said, guys, we love what you have done for on-prem. Can you please help me do the same thing for cloud? That's what the customer's interest was. So what we decided was, we were looking at all the different cloud players, and we found a great opportunity in the Google's cloud space. Google was up and coming at that time, and they wanted a purpose-built solution for us. We had a great partnership, and we last year, we introduced the first purpose-built backup solution for Google Cloud Platform. That is something we did. And as we started selling it to more and more customers, a big part customers said Azure was the next big thing for them, in the sense that, guys, they were all enterprise customers. They said, Azure is what I have predominantly in my infrastructure. They were all Microsoft shops, so they all had Microsoft, and they were naturally going into Azure. And so that's one of the reasons we said, okay, let's work on developing the next purpose-built solution for Azure. So we had the on-prem solution, we had our Google solution, now we have a solution for the Azure platform. When we talk about our solution for Azure, we talk about the entire data management offering for the customer. So what do I mean by that? The first thing, when people say, I'm on Azure, when we ask them saying, do you have all your data on Azure? Most customers are, I would say 99% of them are still in the journey to the cloud. They are not there fully yet on the cloud, right? So what our solution does for them is that it allows them to migrate the data to the cloud from their on-prem infrastructure, allows them to protect the data. Once the data is on the cloud, you're running a production infrastructure, we actually protect the data on the cloud. That's something we do. And in addition to protecting the data on the cloud, people said, can I also have a DR functionality, meaning within clouds are at the end of the still infrastructure and there are possibilities of failure. So they said between these regions, things like that, can you provide me DR functionality? That's something we do. And the last thing I'll tell is a lot of customers who have invested a significant amount of money in on-prem, they said, can I also use the cloud as a DR facility? Can you give me an alternative to make it cheaper for me to have a DR facility on the cloud? So those are 4 different use cases which we do for Azure, and that's what we are announcing.
What would you say is some of your differentiators that set you aside from other people that are doing similar solutions in the cloud?
Great question. So I always tell our customers, like, a backup it's infested with lots of players in this place. So what's your differentiator? Great question, right? The first thing is that unlike most of the platform vendors, most of the backup vendors today, they all build a big platform first on one of the vendors, let's say a Windows or a VMware or whatever. They build for one particular platform. And then when they see a new opportunity, they say, oh, let me do something a little bit extra, add agent, do some extra pipe, and then connect to that particular infrastructure and claim I have support for that. That is one way to do that. The problem is the customer does not get a true cloud native experience in that particular case. So what we did when we decided to build our HYCU solutions is completely, as what Simon likes to call it, the inverted platform approach. What we did for every platform we choose, we have built a purpose-built native data protection solution for every platform, be it Nutanix, be it VMware, be it GCP, and now for Azure. For everything, it's a native solution of the platform. It's a lot of engineering effort, but for the customer, it looks and feels and behaves like a service of the platform. That's a big benefit for the customer. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is that in addition to being a service, for example, on Azure, the customer does not even have to come to HYCU. They can go to the Azure Marketplace, just look for HYCU, subscribe, and get it up and running. That's something there. In addition to that, even the billing is part of the native HYCU, part of the Azure bill. And the other thing, one last thing I'll mention there is the experience. As I said, it's extremely important. It's the same HYCU, but the benefits are, like, for example, when you log into our solution on Azure, you don't even log in with the HYCU credential. You log in with your Azure credential because it is a service of the platform. And it's completely elastic, like what you would expect a true cloud native solution to be. So those are some of the things I would say. I can go on and on forever, but I would start with that.
And so where do you see the interest now that HYCU is supporting even more cloud platforms?
That's a great question. So one of the things which customers have been asking us is that, guys, you have the best solution for each other platform. Can you actually help me manage across multiple of these clouds? That's a question which actually comes up for customers. This started with, there are some of our customers, I can tell you, one of our customers in Irvine, California, for example, what they have is they have on-prem infrastructure, they have multiple clouds, and they want to keep reassessing what application they run on any one cloud. That is something they constantly look for. So that is something we have actually done. We have been able to help customers with multi-cloud data management. People talk about it. We've been able to simplify it. That is something people love, what we are able to do, help them migrate the data, workloads to different clouds, leverage the power of the platform wherever they are. That's been a big benefit. And the reason customers love what we do so far is because it's the true simplicity we deliver. If you look at most of the solutions, they were developed like 20 plus years ago or 15 plus years ago. They were all built for the assumption that not all platforms are smart. Whereas we assume platforms are smart. That changes a lot of the way we end up doing things, be it Azure, Google, GC, your Nutanix. All of them are smart platforms. We leverage the power of the platform. That's what makes it simpler. So what customers ask us all the time is, can you make it simple? Can you make it sorry to say that, but like idiot-proof, meaning less errors for the customer. That way they don't have to worry about, oh, did I set it up right? That should not be something you should worry about. And the question is that, how do you make it cost efficient? Everything we do, we think in terms of, is our software smart enough to choose the right solution so that the customer doesn't have to spend time figuring it out? So one is the operation simplicity and as well as the infrastructure cost saving.
So with the recent COVID-19 crisis, what is HYCU doing to support your customers and help address some of the challenges that they're facing right now?
That's a great question. With COVID-19, I mean, it's, as all of us know, it's thrown the world into a turmoil, and lots of our customers are spending all their time getting their VPNs ready and the network up and running and storage space and so on. They're spending too much amount of time. One of the things we remind people and tell them all the time is that you got to protect your data, because now that with especially lots of people being remote and not everybody being in the same place to monitor things, you got to have a solution which is simple and easy to use. So things which we have done for customers are that we have made it easy for customers to consume our software even if they have not fully purchased it. That's something there for customers. The second thing is that for Azure, one of the things because we just are launching a solution for Azure platform, what we want customers to do is take advantage of our solution at no cost for this entire Q2 and our fiscal Q2. That is something which we are asking customers to take advantage of it, no cost. And our hope is that COVID-19 will be done before end of this quarter and customers will be back in full operations. So that is something we are doing.
Shift things back to a more of a positive note. Want to end this conversation with one of the things that's getting ready to happen. We're about to have a celebration of something called World Backup Day, and this is kind of your area of expertise. So, do you have any kind of thoughts around this coming up celebration that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. First off, I guess, as all of us would say in this industry, please protect your data. We've all had experiences where people lose and they feel so bad, personal as well as professional data. So that's the first thing, is please back it up. That's number one. Second thing is, what we encourage customers to do is, don't always think of backup. Please think of recovery, and have you made it simple? Have you chosen something which will help you recover? Because that's the most important thing. So we strongly encourage customers to think in terms of the recovery. That's something there. And the third thing is that backup is, even though I'm a guy who actually works in the backup industry, I'll tell you is that backup is an essential. It's almost like you got to have it, but it's not something you got to use it every day. Please make sure it's operationally simple and operationally efficient to use it, because that's the best way for you, so that 3 months later, set it and forget it. And 3 months later, if you come back, you should not have to go through a training. You should be able to use it as and when you need it. That operational simplicity is extremely important. Please do look at that every time you make a choice.
Thank you, Subbiah, for taking the time to speak with VMblog today. And where can people go if they want to find out more information about HYCU?
Absolutely. Two things. Go to our HYCU.com, HYCU, HYCU.com. It's a twist of the Japanese poetry, haiku. And the second thing is that if you want to try it out, the good thing is we are on the marketplaces, both on Google and on Azure. It's something that people can try. Or just, there's a simple thing, try HYCU.com, and then you can actually get a free version of our software and play with it yourself. And we are very happy to do that.
Great. Well, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Brian, for your time.